Well, hello once again, Tyrannus Cosplay back in front of the camera for episode 7 of the Nordic carved armor build along, and we're still working on the helmet. It's been a couple of days since I picked this up due to a few other pressing projects, but we're back into it now. Brief update is where we were, or where I was when I left the project the last time. I had just stuck all of the carved details on the helmet with the exception of the final 3 pieces, which you can see I've marked in already. There are 3 raised lips to go on the back flaps of the helmet, and that will pretty much finish the detail that needs to be raised from the surface. That will be done tonight. Then I'm going to add some battle damage to the helmet, he says hesitantly, because that's, while it is the step that gives the helmet or the armor a really good lived in authentic feel, it's also the bit that I hesitate doing the most because I don't like cutting into my work or my babies. Okay, so stay with me while we add the last of the raised details on the back of the helmet and look at what battle damage I want to add to the armor to make it feel a little more authentic. So just like last time, the camera goes down to the work surface and I'll get into it. There you go, that wasn't too bad after all, was it? I have another sheet of the 2mm craft foam, which is what I've been using for the raised details so far. I've run out of that lovely green, and it's a sheet of black this time. Now I also have my craft knife and my diamond sharpening board. Lovely steel ruler. Here's what I need to know is how wide are the strips that I want to do. On average, it's got to look rough and hand wrought, but it's still going to have a little bit of professionalism and made by a blacksmithy kind of look to it. I'm going to say that's around about 7 or 8 mils to go from the outside edge of that black line to the seam, because I don't want the black to tuck around. We've already got that. Okay, so 7 or 8 mils on average. And I'm just going to cut strips off this black foam. I don't need to cut curved to compensate for the curve on the helmet, because luckily the foam's got enough give in it to, once I start gluing, it'll take that form for at least the top one. The bottom 2, which hopefully have the camera in view, there we go, the bottom 2 do have a bit of an angle here and here, but we'll take care of that later. Basically, I'm just going to add the strip across the top, the strip across the back here and here before the angle, and then add those 2 in as 2 separate pieces on each side. Not measuring it precisely the 7 or 8 mils, I just know that it's got to be a little more than 5 and a little less than 10, and I probably need 2 strips to do the top one, and then we'll check what the width of the bottom one is supposed to be. I've already sharpened the blade. And we're going to use the strip that we cut off as a reference for the next strip. That's about it. So there's enough to get the first one done. The contact cement is going to be used again. Get the materials out of the way and get the timer ready. Contact cement, as you probably remember from the previous videos, is a 10-minute dry. So we've got a little timer here on the phone. Set my timer to 10 minutes, get rid of all those extraneous seconds there. Not that it matters much. 9.5 minutes, 10.5 minutes, as long as you don't leave it until the glue actually cures, and both surfaces need to be glued for the contact cement to work at its best. Might be time to get a new paddle pop stick as well, so we'll file that one in the bin and get another one. Now I've already given the glue a shake to make sure that the heavy sediment that settles to the bottom or the thicker part of the glue that settles to the bottom, is mixed throughout, so I don't end up with just pure spirit at the top and glue at the bottom. And a reminder, the technique for applying the glue with the paddle pop stick is so that I can get a nice even spread, disposing of my glue encrusted paddle pop sticks doesn't break the bank, and I can make sure that I don't end up with pools of glue, because pools of glue do not dry particularly well. You want a thin layer that hasn't got build up. You want that on both surfaces. Sure, paddle pop stick's not as porous as a paintbrush, so I do need to re-dip far more frequently than I would for a brush I would expect. But not being a brush user, I'm not sure about that. I'm only going to do this top one, and then some advice from a couple of friends who've seen the previous videos. You don't need to sit there and show the whole half an hour of your glue up. So I won't. Okay, all I'll do is this top one, both sides, and then I'll pause the camera while I do the bottom two and come back to the edit once I've got all three glued and I'm about to apply, because I want to show you the technique I use to apply the foam to the surface and get it to, I've only got a big drip there, and get it to follow the curve that I want. It's not brain surgery, it's really not that difficult of a process, but like most common sense things, once you get shown, you realise it's common sense. Before then, it's a mystery. Okay, I've got some icky crumbs on the desk, so I'm just making sure that I don't have that on the back of the foam. And as I said, I'm going to use both strips. I probably should have done the whole measure to see how much material I'm actually going to need. I do know that I need more than one. So I'm going to glue the entire surface of both of them and basically waste what's left for the first run and use it on the second one. Now I've got the microphone in a slightly different position, because directly above my workbench is the reverse cycle air conditioner, which has just kicked in. So I've tried to put the microphone where you'll hear my voice but won't get too much of the fan from the reverse cycle making a racket. So there's the first one, we'll put that off there to the side. Second strip, I'll start the timer from the time I finish the second strip, so that all the glue surface has a minimum of the 10 minutes. Okay. Now, like I mentioned in all the previous videos where you've seen me gluing, right to the very edges of the glue, of the surface that you want glued, right out to the lip, so that there are no areas that can lift off. It's particularly important when you're gluing two of the main body bits together, where you do not want a break between the two pieces. You want it to take the form but basically look like it's made out of one solid bit. So having the glue right up to the very edge is part of that. That was almost a disaster. The two pieces have rolled towards each other there and trying to glue each other together. There we go. Put the lid on there to stop the fumes. Start the timer, which we've set for the 10 minutes. Start. Oh, hang on. Something's gone wonky. We'll jump back to a minute and a half. 10 minutes. Perfect. Okay, pause this and we'll be back when the timer runs out. And we're back again with the timer going off. And as promised, I wanted to apply at least the first one on camera so you can see how the foam strip, even though it's cut in a very straight line straight off of the page of foam, is still going to curve quite well with the contour of the helmet. Now for the top one, because it's uniform thickness pretty much from the very beginning of the pattern to the end, and it's pretty much straight, I'm going to go from the end, but these bottom two I've actually only glued from the angles around to the other angle, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I'm using this finger to make sure that the foam follows the curve of the helmet, and then I'm using this finger to press it down ever so lightly. Now it's contact adhesive, which means once it comes into contact with the other surface coated in contact adhesive, it stays there. Evil Ted says quite frequently on his videos that this glue, in his particular case, barge cement, adheres so well that should you try and tear it apart, the foam will tear away before the glue ever splits the seam. So what I'm getting at is, if you're going to be doing detail, you need to make sure that it lands where you want it to land the first time, because there's pretty much no takesy backsies. And that's going to go all the way to that lip. Not this lip, the right, now I've squared it off, but I am actually going to taper that slightly and shape that curve to match the line underneath where the glue is. Okay, so like I said, even though this line is not flat, it does go from the sides down a bit and then bowl around. The foam strip is quite flexible enough to follow that curve nicely. Okay, last two strips will go on, and I'll come back to the video and put these final two edges on both sides, and that will be the last of the detail added to the helmet from the foam being added on, and then the rest of the detail is a subtractive process. Done, and the glue is cured. So here are the last four pieces that I'll be attaching to the helmet, and the last clip for this video tonight. So I've got my four pieces over here with the glue on them, and because they're tapered I need to make sure that I have the right ones for the right side. And the same technique as the long strips. Push them hard up against the assisting piece so I don't end up with a gap, and use my finger to trail both the edge of the foam that I'm sticking down and the lip underneath, so that this edge is flush basically. So that's that one there. I think that one's for the other side. Yes, it was. No, okay. This one's for this side. So, one side of the helmet. And I've just got to put the two on the other side of the helmet. So let's do that while we've got everything happening. And of course I tapered these and shaped the tips before I put the glue on them so that these will pop straight in. Basically no work needs to be done to them now that they're on the helmet. Yay! So there I have it. That's the basic construction of the new Nordic carved armour helmet. I say basic construction because now we get into the finer details and actually turn it into something a little more like what we want. So the next couple of stages will be some battle damage applied to the helmet. Then I'm going to hit it with the heat gun, which will close up the pores, and then I'm going to use my Selly's No More Gaps, which is a water-based bathroom caulking material. It's a rubber material. The reason I use the water-based one is because with a damp finger or damp cloth I can smooth out the transitions. I'll use it to cover all of these pieces where the pepper cure parts are joined. So smooth that all out. Then once that's cured properly, and I normally leave that about 48 hours, I'm going to spray the whole helmet with a rubberized leak sealer, which I find gives me a good base to paint on. And because I do not want a high gloss finish on here, I'm going to forego the traditional PVA water mix. So there we have it, that's what I've got. Now, the battle damage that I'm going to apply to the helmet, I've been thinking about how I want the damage to look on the helmet, and I've considered that because I'm right-handed, while wearing the helmet I would have my shield in my left hand protecting the left hand side of the helmet with my sword in my right, which would mean basically blows from enemies would be blocked by my shield hand. So this side of the helmet should not receive too much battle damage. This side of the helmet, however, would not be shielded as effectively. So I will have, a sword hack down here. I'll have chips and stuff taken out of this side, but primarily it would be this side of the helmet that would cop the damage from other right hand weapon users, and I'm going to carry that theme through the rest of the armour so that the shield would have battle damage on it because it would have protected this side, but this side of the armour will show the lack thereof of the protection. So there we go. Next video clip will be of applying the battle damage, heat sealing, and I'll start on the No More Gaps sealant in all of these joins to make it look like a flush piece of metal. Remember guys, we call this cosplay because it's supposed to be fun.